Hi, welcome back to Mysteries Channel. Today I'm going to do the video that I was talking about yesterday that I didn't get to because I felt like I had to research it a little bit more. The video is about the 5 white eagles of Merida. It's a really cool story and I am not 100% positive I have the actual correct version of it. There are very few English versions of it. I only found, I didn't find many, and so please, if you're from the area and you know what the correct version is, throw me a note in the comment section. I'd rather have you correct me than put out a whole bunch of fake stuff. I mean, I'll even probably end up deleting the video and just redoing it completely. So that being said, let's get into it. Here we go. High among the rocky crags of the Andes Mountains, with their jagged peaks and hills, the Mariupas Indians lived a hard life, fighting frequent wars with their neighbors. In their vegetable plots, they grew corn, yucca, ocomo, and different fruits. They hunted the abundant rabbits and deer in the forest and the birds that soared in the clear mountain sky. 5 white eagles flew one day in the blue firmament, 5 enormous eagles whose brilliant bodies produced moving shadows over the peaks and the mountains. Did they come from the north? Did they come from the south? The indigenous tradition only says that the 5 white eagles came from the starry skies in a time long, long ago. One of the fierce Indian chiefs had a daughter, Caribay. She was so beautiful that people from the tribe thought she must be the daughter of Zua the sun and Chia the moon, because her eyes and skin were so bright that they seemed to be made of pure light. Caribay liked to wear necklaces of bone or painted clay and adorn her hair with colorful feathers. Caribay imitated the songs of the birds. She ran lightly over the herb like crystalline waters and played like the wind with the flowers and trees. One day, she was on the bank of a river looking for shiny flat stones to decorate her cotton shawl when Caribay saw the enormous white eagles flying in the heavens, whose feathers shone so brightly in the light of the sun like silver plumage. She wanted to adorn her vestment with the rare and splendid feathers. She ran without pausing after the moving shadows which the birds drew upon the land, passing over profound valleys, climbing one peak then another, arriving fatigued at the solitary summit of the Andean mountains. Overcome with fatigue, she reached one of the highest summits of the mountains, a place bare of any vegetation, where the silence made her feel that she was in the presence of Ches, the supreme being of the Timote-Cuica tribes. The distant and immense palms divided on one side, and for the other the sheer rock walls splattered in gray and emerald green. The rocky stairway that forms the mountains down to the great Laguna de Coquivacoa, in which the mountains of the Sierras were reflected as if they rose up from the lake themselves. Caribay ran and ran, chasing the enormous shadows. She was surprised at how far she had run. The peak where she was standing, she could see on one side, far away, the wide savanna of the foot of the mountains, and on the other side, above her head, the mist which guards the realm of Ches. It was closing in as night began to fall. The white eagles climbed perpendicularly into the heights until they were lost in space. They drew no more of their shadows upon the land. Caribay passed from one peak to another of the craggy Sierras, watering the ground with her tears. She called upon Zue, astral king, and the wind carried her request for help away. The eagles had been lost from sight, and the sun began fading into the twilight. Trembling, she turned her eyes to the east, calling upon Chia, the pale moon, and at that moment the wind stopped to make the silence. Caribay broke the august silence of the rocky crags with a cry of admiration. As the moon appeared, and about it flew the 5 fantastic and brilliant eagles, and as the wind stopped, Caribay's words could clearly be heard. Chia the moon appeared with Caribay's request for help. Her radiance blocked out the light of the stars and lit up the sky, suddenly highlighting the 5 white eagles which had begun to fly towards earth. And while the eagles descended majestically, the diva spirit of the aromatic forest, the Indian princess of the Andes, sung sweetly over the heights her songs of the forest. The mysterious birds circled over the naked crest of the mountain range, perching at last, each one upon its own peak, digging their claws into the living rock. They stayed there immobile, in silence, with their heads turned to the north, extending their gigantic wings as if ready to take flight to the blue firmament once again. Caribay wanted to adorn her investment with those rare and splendid feathers. She rushed towards them and snatched the envied plumage, but a cold glacier greeted her hands. The eagles were petrified, converted into 5 enormous masses of ice and stone. Caribay gave a cry of fright and fled in terror. The white eagles were a frightening mystery. On hearing of the young girl's cry, which resounded around the peaks like an echo of a great wind, the moon suddenly darkened. She had hid herself in the clouds as a hurricane struck the nude peaks. With the sinister sounds and noises, the 5 white eagles awoke and furiously beat their wings. Their white feathers fell down in a flurry that covered the mountains completely. Caribay was lost that night among the peaks and became the spirit of the Andes. The eagles, still and silent in their high perches, became the 5 enormous mountain peaks that make up the Merida High Sierra, perpetually covered in snow. Nowadays, when Caribay, the spirit of the mountains, gives out her shrill lament, which is the howl of the storm, the eagles once again awake and shake off their feathers as falling snow and all the mountain peaks once again become white in the heavy snowstorms. This is the origin of the Sierra Nevadas of Merida. The 5 white eagles of the indigenous tradition are the 5 mountain peaks perpetually covered with snow. The grand and tempestuous storms are the furious awakenings of the eagles, and the whistling of the wind is the memory of the sad and monotonous song of Caribay, the myth of the chieftain's beautiful daughter and the changing of their world. All right, so there you go. It's a pretty damn cool story, isn't it? I think, of course, you guys know where I stand on it. 2 things are happening here. What is the historical record? Well, it sounds as if the Native Americans in this instance are shocked and mystified by the snow and the ice. She's terrified of it. It's almost as if she has never seen it before. Has she seen it before? I don't know. Another thing I want to note here, something that I've always, well, everybody, it's not me, everybody thinks about it. The natives of South and Mesoamerica kept a meticulous record, and the record is their calendar. And their calendar did what? It showed the cycles of the solar system. They kept a very keen eye on it because they knew whatever happened up there affected us down here. And I have to wonder, with the way they say this in this legend, the 5 white eagles came from the stars. This change on Earth, this climate change, if you will, happened because of something up there. A cycle either began or ended, and it changed what was happening down here. The eagles looked to the north. Maybe that is a clue of what event they were talking about. What was the lesson to be learned? Well, I think the lesson in this story is Caribay is so beautiful. She's so beautiful, people believe that she is almost a celestial being herself. She is made of light. She is so beautiful, she did not need to go and chase those 5 white eagles into the mountains to her own demise. Her vanity got the best of her, and in the end, she is lost to the mountains. So, I don't know, pretty darn cool story. Tell me what you think. And again, if you're from this region, Venezuela, and you know the correct version of this story, if I messed it up, please let me know down below, and I will fix it. Thank you very much, and you guys have yourselves a very great day.